Good morning, it's April 13th, 2022. This is To My Liberal Friends, and I'm John Haddo. I've tried to avoid the Hunter Biden laptop scandal as much as possible, but the drip, drip, drip of information being gleaned from the laptop makes it impossible. It calls into real question the media and their reaction to the story from the beginning to recent days where they finally had to admit that their claim it was Russian disinformation was blatantly false. Now, I want to juxtapose that issue with the recent news that Jared Kushner, son-in-law of Donald Trump, received a $2 billion investment to his newly formed investment company, Affinity Partners. This investment came 6 months after Trump left office, and it raises some legitimate questions. One of those is the source of the money. First, why would the investment arm of the Saudi government, a $620 billion public investment fund, give this money to an inexperienced and newly formed investment company? Two, why would the de facto leader of the Saudi government, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, overrule the fund's advisors who recommended not doing this investment? Three, is there some sort of payback for Kushner's support for Saudi interests while he was working in the White House? He was very close to Crown Prince Mohammed. And four, are they trying to buy influence in the case that Donald Trump makes another run for the White House, which all signs point to he is aiming to do? All of these are legitimate questions and should be answered. The media, led by the New York Times, are already homing in on this issue, and that's their job as journalists. But why were they so reluctant to report on the Hunter Biden story? Why were they so quick to refer to it as, quote, disinformation campaign, end quote? So let's look at some of the revelations we've gleaned from the Hunter Biden laptop. And as I said, I've tried to avoid this, but if they're going to pounce on Jared Kushner, they really need to start looking at themselves in the mirror. First, we know that Hunter Biden received millions of dollars from the Chinese investment company CFEC. Two, there is evidence from Tony Bobulinski, Hunter's business partner, that Joe Biden actually met with Hunter's foreign business partners on multiple occasions while he was a sitting vice president, despite Joe Biden's denials that he ever did this. Three, there's strong evidence from the laptop that suggests there was a commingling of funds between Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. Another thing the White House denies. Four, Eric Schwerin, the president of Rosemont Seneca firm, and another former Hunter Biden business partner, Devon Archer, were both named in exchanges of emails and texts with Hunter Biden, and the information then was enlightening. Schwerin had extensive knowledge of the Biden family finances and even had the ability to sign off on checks for Joe Biden. In one email, he said, quote, "Your dad's Delaware tax refund check came today." And this was on June 10th, 2010, while Joe Biden was vice president. Quote, "I am depositing it in his account and writing a check in that amount back to you since he owes it to you. Don't think I need to run it by him, but if you want to go ahead, if not, I will deposit tomorrow." End quote. Now, if that's not commingling of funds, he gets his dad's tax refund, signs it, and deposits it in Hunter's account because he said his dad owes him that money. A public awareness of this scandal grows. Democratic political consultant Doug Schoen, in a careful article in The Hill, a rag that covers Capitol Hill, over the weekend expressed his party's concerns. If Joe Biden is found to have profited from Hunter's business deals or used his position as vice president to benefit the family, Schoen wrote, what is now likely a red wave election could turn into a massive blowout that is more substantial than anything seen in recent history, end quote. Now, I know Doug, and I've worked with him on a couple of issues, and he's a serious player in Democratic politics. He's also someone that tells it pretty straight. Then we have the $54 million that was donated to the Biden Center at the University of Pennsylvania between 2014 and 2019. A significant part of that amount was done anonymously, and that's not acceptable in this kind of situation. No surprise that when the center opened its doors in Washington, D.C. in 2018, the managing director was none other than Antony Blinken, our current Secretary of State. Then you have the tidbit from the laptop that shows that the Chinese energy company, CEFC, wanted to exert some influence in Washington but did not want to register as a foreign agent. This from the laptop in a text from Hunter Biden to Tony Bobulinski. Quote, "We don't want to have to register as foreign agents under the FCPA, which is really FARA, It's much more expansive than people should choose not to know, end quote. Well, this is one of the things they're looking at in Delaware and at the Justice Department should Hunter Biden have been registered as a foreign agent under FARA. 7. There are several emails that show Hunter Biden being asked to lobby his father, which he did on occasion, for friends to be appointed to various positions within the administration. Some got the job, some didn't. But one starts to tie this together when you look at a text he sent to his daughter, Hunter's daughter, Naomi, in January of 2019. And it says, I quote, "I hope you all can do what I did and pay for everything for this entire family for 30 years. This is Hunter Biden grousing to his daughter. Quote, "It's really hard, but don't worry. Unlike Pop, I won't make you give me half your salary." So the question that has to come to mind is, who is Pop, and is Pop Joe Biden? Finally, we have an email from Schwerin to Hunter Biden that shows a direct link to money to Joe Biden. It was titled JRB's Bills, and JRB are Joe Biden's initials. They concern the upkeep of Biden's house in the Greenville enclave in Wilmington, Delaware, where Biden seems to like to retreat to just about every weekend and holiday. It stated, quote, "There was $1,239 in repairs to an air conditioner at Mom's cottage, and another $1,475 for a painter for back wall and columns at the lake house. There's also another $2,600 for fixing up stone retaining wall at the lake and $475 for shutters," end quote. This is all for Hunter Biden to take care of, but it's his dad's house. There's still one more that really should have every reporter running to cover this story. In May of 2018, Hunter Biden was in a drunken binge in LA. He transferred $25,000 to an escort there in Los Angeles. Now that prompted an immediate visit by the Secret Service, which suggests the money came from an account jointly used by father and son. One agent texted Hunter repeatedly, telling him to come downstairs and talk about this. And he reminded him, quote, "This is linked to Celtic's account." And that was the code name of Biden while he was the vice president, Celtic. Some young enterprising reporter should see this as all of this and realize that he could be writing a Pulitzer-winning story. But he would have to get by his editors and allow him to pursue it and then to print it or air it. The major media outlets in this country seem to be inclined to either ignore the story or bury it. And what would they do if the grand jury being held in Delaware by U.S. Attorney David Weiss returns an indictment on Hunter Biden and shows a direct link to his father? How many of you really believe that Joe Biden never talked to his son about his business dealings? Hunter accompanies his father to China and Europe on Air Force Two, and on a long plane ride home, they did not talk. I guarantee you that if this were my child, the topic of his business ventures would certainly have come up. So I say to you, the journalists in this country, investigate the Saudi investment with Jared Kushner. If there's something nefarious or it is influence peddling, then expose it. But quit ignoring the Biden story or just admit you're hypocrites and do only exposés on people you don't like. This has been To My Liberal Friends. Thanks for listening.